Hey everybody, it's Aaron. I am here today with JT and Jeff. We're going to give you a end of the year market update. We're going to talk about where we are in the market, what to expect from 2023, and our best advice for both buyers and sellers going into the new year. Let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about where we are at this point in the market. Clearly, we have seen a shift, and I'm sure you've read about it. I know everywhere we go, people are asking us what's going on in the real estate market. Totally get it. On a national level, yes, the market is pretty significantly down. I mean, we have longer days on market. We've got price decreases. Some of that is true in our market, although I would venture to say mostly not. Really dependent on the pocket that you're looking in. But since we focus mainly on upper northwest part of DC, Bethesda, Potomac, I'm sort of talking from that perspective right now. We have seen a slowdown in the market, although we have not seen the price decreases and lengthening of days on market like a lot of the rest of the market in the country has experienced. In fact, I pulled some stats before we came on. The houses that have sold in the last 6 months, the list price to sale price ratio is over 100% still, even though we've been in more of a down market. And the days on market is about 7 to 8 days. At the height of the market, that was more like 5 or 6, but these are not major changes. Interest rates certainly playing a big part out there, obviously. It's a lot to take. It's really hard to have been, especially if you were a buyer in the market, looking and you were, looking for houses based on a 3% rate, and now that rate is 6% plus. Obviously, that's going to have a major impact on what you're looking at and what you can afford if you're looking on a monthly payment basis. So I think what we're experiencing right now is sort of the shock and awe of that change. I think that it has taken time. It will continue to take some time for to normalize itself in the market. But, as those of us who have been around a while, these rates were not unheard of even just before COVID, and the market was still considered strong then. So I don't see the market as being weaker now. I just seeing it as being slower. And I think it's a short-term problem as we work through the buyers that were out there looking with a lower interest rate. The reality is that people are still going to have life reasons to need to move. And they are, employment is great locally, income is great locally, and the market is really not seeing a huge shift downward. So I don't think people are scared to be homeowners in this market. They're just coming back to reality. And frankly, it's a healthy market. It's exactly what we were dealing with prior to COVID, and we considered it a good market then. So if it's only a slow market in comparison because of the interest rates, I think right now it's the middle of winter. Naturally, it's coming at a time where we're going to be really slow anyway. And I think that as we work through the holidays and get into February, I think we're going to see a swell of them come back in the spring market. And I think we will continue to see good houses that are well-priced, well-presented, and prepared for market. I can't believe we've said that so many times about the inventory. But with quality inventory, we could still see very quality results. JT, what are you telling our sellers now in terms of how to manage this market going forward?
Well, the market is shifted, but one thing that will remain the same is inventory will be low. Historically, around in the DC area, there's always been a low inventory issue. One thing that will continue to impact that, which is a positive for sellers, is there's not going to be that many move-up buyers, by which we mean that those buyers that are in a house right now, that they need a little bit more space, maybe they want to be closer to work or something like that. Mentally, it's hard for them to jump into the market. They're sitting with a 3% interest rate, and they know that when they go and put their house on the market and buy something else, that interest rate is probably going to double. mentally that is a very difficult hurdle to overcome. So therefore, that might make inventory even more scarce. You will see nationally that a lot of reports come out and talk about builders and that builders aren't building new houses right now and that that's going to impact inventory. That really does not impact our market around here. New construction is so expensive that it really only caters to a very small portion of our buyer market. So therefore, new construction really doesn't impact inventory or supply or demand around here as much as the national media wants you to think. The other thing with this market is that you really have to make sure condition is absolutely pristine. Again, a lot of these buyers are trying to figure this market out. Buying a property is very emotional. And so if you want to attract those buyers, you really need to make sure that your property is in the best condition possible. Even with a small budget, you can put some paint on the walls, stage it. You need to make sure those buyers are emotionally invested. The first showing is always online. And if those pictures don't resonate with those buyers, they're not going to get through even the 10th or the 11th picture, let alone schedule a time to come out and see the property in person. Aaron also touched on this. Very important with the pricing. As he said, that a lot of these properties are still going for 100% of the list price, but that's because we are pricing it correctly. And it's incredibly important for the buyers to find value in that. It's a very nuanced task or a skill set to price it because sellers are chasing that contract price, but buyers are paying attention to monthly payments, and those monthly payments have gone up for the interest rates. Another thing that we need to really, really pay attention to is we have to let the professionals do the job. During the pandemic, tons of offers and deals were coming through with very little contingencies. Now in the last 4 or 6 months, a lot of our transactions have had contingencies. We're negotiating home inspections. We're dealing with appraisal issues. Some buyers are, having issues with financing with the interest rates going up, and they're not calculating as such before getting under contract. There was a lot of low-hanging fruit there for a while with these transactions. Now it's really up to the professionals to keep all those deals on track and make sure that everyone is happy with the result. But if you guys adhere to these things and really pay attention to the market and listen to the good professional guidance, as a seller, you can still be very successful in this market.
And key really, and you were touching on this, we're pricing now to achieve. We're not pricing as a starting point in the market. We are pricing now at what we believe a buyer would come in and be willing to pay for the property. And that's been a tough shift with sellers to understand that and understand that we can't take the risk at this point to expect multiple parties to outbid each other. There naturally, as the result of the slower market, as the press says, going to be hesitant to do that. So we're looking for good solid comps that we can follow that lead for us, and then we try to match that up. So talking about buyers, Jeff, what do you think is the best advice for buyers out there still looking to make a move in this market?
So things have definitely calmed down a little bit if you're a buyer in this market. Not as crazy as it's been for the last couple of years. And that's really great if you're a buyer. You could take your time. You can consider, number one, if you even want to buy this house. And number two, you could take your time with contingencies and inspections to make sure that the house and everything that you're getting into is exactly what you want.
What a concept.
It's really amazing. The other part about that is that less competition means less other buyers out there trying to drive up the price. So you're not going to have to worry about paying $200,000 over asking or naming your firstborn after the seller. I know it sounds crazy. These things happen in the last couple of years. So also interest rates have risen. That's going to scare off a number of buyers. But, compared to historic averages, it's still a decent time to be buying a house. You may have gotten a better rate a year ago, but that same house that you were bidding on was going for more than it was, that it's going to be now.
Yeah, look, if interest rates come down, you could refinance.
You can always refinance. And, there are going to be opportunities in this market for below list price sales, and especially if there's any issues with the house. Great properties are still attracting multiple buyers, But if it's a slightly less desirable property and you've got an inside track to be able to do some renovations over time, that's going to add value. And you're going to be in a much better place than someone who's overpaying for something that might already be move-in ready.
Agree.
So you can slowly take on projects over time as you grow into the home, and we can share potential renovation budgets with listing agents to help negotiate that final price. All in all, I think it's not as bad as a time to be a buyer as the press would have you believe. And again, all real estate is local. If you're looking at our market versus the national averages, totally different story. So I think today's still a good time to be a buyer of this market, and we're here to help you.
Absolutely. It's a breath of fresh air to be normal again a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a ride. And, these shifts in interest rates versus how much over you had to pay, they sort of balance out. I highly agree that some of the best deals out there are the ones that need a little elbow grease.
Sure.
And we can help you understand what that's going to take, the timeline, the money, and then, of course, connect you with our contractors. We'd love to see somebody take advantage of getting square footage in the location they want and go that route and creating value for themselves. I think there's a huge opportunity out there right now for that.
Right. I think overall the term really is just healthy. The market is more healthy. What we went through in the last couple of years, there were a lot of decisions that people made that they might not have been super happy about afterwards. Now, as you both had said, we can take some time, take a breath, and make sure that these $1 million decisions are the right ones for our family.
Agreed. And we see this every spring. The spring season starts much earlier than that it indicates in its name. I think by the end of January, early February, we could easily see the first part of the 2023 inventory coming online. And I think it's an opportunity for a seller who's got a good product at a reasonable price to get out there. And I also think over these winter months and getting into that early part before the spring market actually hits, I think it's a great time to be a buyer and be a cherry picker and find the deal that's right for you, and more importantly, the house that's right for you. We really appreciate you all tuning in. Give us a call if you have any questions. Have a very happy holidays, and we'll see you next year.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Later.